So, Vineet, I was wondering, so you are in a category which has some well-capitalized, scaled-up players. Why do you think it stands a chance there?
When we were starting, we always wondered how we stand a chance, and we started our research. So one thing which came out pretty clearly was that we are in a business of basically building IPs. Basically it's a content come tech company, right? So the number of basically breakthrough IPs or tentpole IPs you have on your platform defines basically how successful the platform would be. End user, basically they don't they are not bothered about how big of a company you are. They are looking for basically content, uh, basically which is interesting to them, where they can spend time consuming content. And the overall thesis with which we started, and of course every company has a different DNA with which they get started, and eventually it starts reflecting in their content also, right? So our idea was pretty clear. It's a very very big market, of course. Audio has been there since before video actually came into existence. So storytelling has been there since decades. So the idea was like, anyone who is slightly evolved, their taste in content has evolved over the time, are basically exposed to OTT kind of platform. What are the options for them, right? So if we look at Spotify, most of the basically content inventory which is openly distributed is there on Spotify and can be made available on any other platform. Either it is serving a very very niche audience, or overall the depth in the content inventory is not there. It is a very shallow experience which you get. So the idea was, basically, can we create a really, basically immersive audio storytelling experience? And that was the basis, that was the thesis, that if you are able to crack really good content and, basically build a trust with the users, if whatever content you, basically touch base on our platform, it will give you a similar kind of experience. So we thought, okay, yes, we stand a chance, and that's how we got started. And then we started seeing engagement from our users, the feedbacks, the NPS, which of course evolved over the time and kept getting better. And as the time passed by, we also started optimizing. Our playbook now is much more stronger than it was a year back. Right now our idea is to create cinematic audio experiences. By cinematic, what I mean is, basically when you're listening to any of our content, you'll feel like you're watching a movie or TV show. And you can be portable, right? You can be cooking, you can be jogging, you can be inside your gym, or maybe you just want to relax, just basically close down your eyes, put your headphones on, and basically immerse into a different story world itself. So if you look at existing content inventory, the overall experience is not very very immersive. So that's why we felt, yeah, there is a need in the market, and we got started with this category.
So maybe I'll give it to that. Is it a bad way that you're going after? Because the way you explained the opportunity, the opening that you saw, was more around is quality of the content can go up, the storytelling can improve, as opposed to kind of how a tech founder typically paints the picture. So,
Correct. So, I think it's a healthy mix of, basically focus on content as well as providing a seamless product experience to our users. So yes, we would like to put ourselves in a media tech kind of business. We do experiment a lot of features and new tools to make sure, that the overall experience, basically it sounds better, and also user experience at the same time on the product is really, really sleek, and, basically targeted towards a slightly smarter, basically young, urban, semi-urban kind of audience. Um, so the what we feel is that product is an enabler to basically serve really good content, right? uh, and content of course is the focus, but at the same time making sure that basically a digital experience of our users is at par with what they are expecting, or what they see on maybe Netflix of the worlds in an audiovisual format. Basically it is at par, basically with that ecosystem. uh, yeah, so we would like to categorize ourselves, basically a media tech kind of business, where there is an basically really excellent storytelling happening through audio, non-music audio as a format.
so in a way, what you're saying is that a good product experience is table stakes, and but the winners will be differentiated on the quality of content that they have, the quality of
Correct.
storytelling that they have. Is that a fair
Correct.
argument? And
Correct.
somewhere you saw a gap that while there was a lot of content available, maybe the quality of storytelling was probably a step below
Not
than
there.
what you would have wanted. And that's why you
Correct.
felt that there's a place for A. Now,
Correct.
if you have to rewind back a bit, do you think like some of these platforms, I think they started Kuku and Pocket around 2017, around that time.
17, yes. 17, 16 years.
So, is it that if you had started at that point, you would have thought differently, and you are thinking differently because now you have seen some things play out, scale up happen, and then you are saying, okay, maybe this part got missed out. Is it that you're when you are entering the market, changing your strategy, or is it you as Mohit, irrespective of what timing it was, you would have built something similar?
So 100% since I was in college, basically I've been a big consumer of audio products. Started my journey with audiobooks, then audio podcasts, and then basically certain studios in the West from where we got our content inspiration. That hinged us, basically to get started with an immersive storytelling platform. Uh, Having Pocket FM and Cuckoo FM, basically I feel, basically they have strengthened our thesis, and we would definitely like to basically give them some credits in developing this category in India. If there was no Cuckoo and Pocket, would have been difficult to basically build conviction on basically building a product around this space. But we also what we at the same time what we also realized was that if you look at content pyramid, right, at the top there will be global consumers of content irrespective of medium. It can be audiovisual, text, audio. As if this segment will primarily consume, basically only content from the West. In audiovisual, it will be suits,
Indians
House of
looking
Cards,
for
and this.
realistic content.
And right after that, we feel that there is a large chunk of audience who were linear TV viewers earlier, and over the time they have been exposed to good quality content on OTT platforms, as well as basically the kind of content they follow on social media. It has evolved over the time, and they are recently urbanized. I would say it doesn't mean they necessarily stay in an urban city, but the kind of content they consume, basically the tastes have evolved over the time. So if we specifically look at this chunk of basically cohort, who are basically looking for high quality content, but with Indian context, they do not have much options, right? Kuku FM, Pocket FM, both are trying to basically primarily attack tier 2 and 3 massy audience. So at the same time, we thought, okay, why not basically create content for ourselves, right? I have been a big consumer of Indian high quality contents, Patalok, Sacred Games. So what is the audio equivalent of it? Even in non-fiction space, right? So the idea was to build for this mass premium segment, and we feel that in years to come, as basically India's overall GDP is rising, discretionary expenses will rise, and users will basically start indulging in such kind of digital products even more. And beauty of non-music audio as a format or spoken word format is that it integrates into your daily lives like really really well. So basically, and at this point in time, everyone wants to maximize their downtime. Nobody likes to spend time in solitude in a way. So that's where basically a immersive platform like ours make sure that you can make most out of your time. So even when you are doing some mechanical codes.
Got it. But somewhere, kind of Mohit, you implicitly mentioned about as the GDP grows up. So somewhere, are you hinting that as the per capita goes up, the taste changes, the expectation of quality of content changes? Is there a correlation there, or are we being, are we just judging? Uh,
No, no, not judge. So of course, Malab, we definitely feel that it's a multiplayer market, and definitely it's not a market where winner takes it all. There will, of course, be a couple of companies which will have a decent size of market as their consumers. Uh, but at the same time, we also feel that evolution will happen. Like the kind of content you follow right now, it will evolve over the years, right? So in when I was a kid, I used to watch Shaktiman, but now I'm watching more of DC and Marvel. So that evolution will definitely happen.
so what is
My
this
mother,
evolution? Sorry, go ahead, go ahead.
yeah, so my mother, who was an Facebook user earlier, now she uses Instagram. So basically that when you get saturated with one basically format of content, you look for more depth. and that's why we feel that basically we want to position ourselves as a platform where you will get most immersive depthful experiences. So when these users, when they are looking for slightly more immersive experience than what they're consuming right now, basically we should come as a basically a better platform where they will be able to find a really rich inventory in spoken word content.
Got it. But what is driving it? So you talked about age when you're young and now your taste has evolved. So is it age? Is it per capita income? Or is it just exposure that as I get exposed to a certain content type, I'm able to kind of see the nuances, the differences between a type A and type B, and I become more discerning. So what is, because somewhere we are saying that, okay, tomorrow the world will flock towards it away from other channels. That's somewhere the thesis that we are all trying to work towards, right? So how do you kind of think about it?
So, so basically, I think it's a mix of all the pointers you mentioned and many more. So, increase in per, basically GDP basically leads to, basically adoption of more premium platforms. I would definitely say, like Netflix was somewhere around 2 million paying subscribers. I think somewhere around 2017, 18. Right now, they are at 6.5, 7 million paying subscribers. Right. Over the time, the propensity to pay, basically as a working audience starts doing well, making good, basically income. Of course, basically they look for premium options. Of course, but at the same time, when I say this, India is a very value conscious market. So you have to, provide value in return for the, basically whatever fee you're going to charge them, right? And in a platform, in basically specifically in content, you can get value in two ways. One is either in form of entertainment or in form of information. So far, most of our focus has been on entertainment side. But when I say value in entertainment, I just mean, like, basically you must have noticed, specifically in young audience, a lot of time they would spend a lot of times, basically browsing reels, and they will feel guilty afterwards, right? So when I say value in entertainment, basically the overall immersion, if it's like really really good, if a user is immersed into a content piece, so that time is where basically they will feel ki, yes, time well spent, right? So that's where we feel that basically 100% there will be basically there a category which we are trying to build, which is like very very immersive experiences. It will basically break through in the times to come. uh, but of course, as the lifestyle changes, as the kind of content you are exposed to, which I also mentioned earlier, now social media is very much more involved. uh, the kind of content you are exposed to on OTT platform is much more involved. Recently, basically Kalki movie came in. The kind of VFX which were there in this movie were like world class, right? At par with what you saw on Dunes, which earlier never happened in India. So as we are getting exposed to, basically better quality content, of course, that expectation from content creators also increases from users, and basically that you have to do better than what you did previously. So yeah.
Uh, okay, so somewhere I'm still, because there are multiple things. See, premium, when you say premium, you're not talking about the willingness and ability to. What you're saying is
Yep.
appreciation for higher quality content. And higher
Content.
quality could be on one dimension is story. What is the script? Is it a better script? And the other could be whether it is produced well, whether the storytelling is better. So
Correct.
when you're saying premium, you're saying more around storytelling, because
Correct.
stories, is very hard. Probably I don't know, how to think about stories, but what is more in our hands is storytelling. Can we
Correct.
elevate that experience? And that's what you call immersive and cinematic.
Correct.
So as you get more exposure, you will get drawn towards those experiences. Why should I not have better sound effects and
Correct.
better VFX equivalent in,
Correct.
in audio?
Correct.
Uh, and once I discover that, then I start gravitating towards that platform. And if that platform is charging me a little more, and my per capita is decent, then kind of people will have enough of your audience. So somewhere that's the way you are
Correct.
putting.
So yeah. So we call this PGC versus basically a UGC or PUGC kind of content. So PGC is where you will have like really immersive soundscaping, sound designing, music, all the recordings they happen in a studio grade, basically environment. So overall experience, basically it's very very sensory. You will get basically you will basically immerse into that story. So that's where basically we feel that the difference is. And over the time, that has also led to a difference in TG, difference in consumption behavior on the platform, right? So our primary consumption happens between 11 to 1 in the night, which is different from our competitors, of course. And it doesn't start like that. So users start adopting our product, basically like I mentioned, those mechanical commuters, or when they're in gym. But as they grow on the product, they start using it to relax, also to immerse themselves, in a way, escape from their day to day lives, and basically break through that notification, screen time, and all those kind of stuff. So that's how they basically initially starts. Basically their consumption starts in the daytime, and then basically as they grow on the product, they start spending more time in the night also, just to relax, like I said.
Got it. Got it. And so this is one part of it, which is your side of the story. But as these tastes evolve, as the listening habits change, as the audience becomes more discerning, that shift will also be visible to a Pocket FM, to a Cuckoo FM.
Correct.
Would they not also follow the where the audience is and come up with these cinematic experiences? They already have distribution, they have capital. It's about enabling certain production quality, into their content. Would that be so difficult for them that they will not be able to do it? Or why should you still have an edge?
Yeah, so 100%, yes, they have the distribution, but like I said, over the time, the kind of TG which we have built, it is slightly different. Basically from their distribution, the behavior is like very very different. The use cases which we solve for them right now, they might not be solving for, and then there are certain use cases they might be solving for, which we might not be solving. Our biggest defensibility comes from the fact that we have been basically working on this already since some time. We have optimized a playbook which has evolved over the time, to create these kind of cinematic experiences, and basically build depth in our content. And it's not basically a capital game. It's not like you can put in all that capital basically in one day and create content inventory like us. It's a factor of multiple feedback loops, the kind of people or the script writers, the production studios you work with, the kind of sound designers you basically engage with. So I won't say that it is not possible to basically create our content like ours, but just creating one or two pieces won't do. You have to create a very very large inventory, basically to be able to basically, let's say, penetrate into the kind of content which we are doing. And at the same time, I also feel uh, basically the overall our promise to our users is that whatever basically show or IP you touch, you'll get similar kind of experience. So for that experience to be replicated, they will need to basically any of these players will need to probably build a new app, or basically they will basically need to shell off all their previous content and get started with new content inventory, which might be a very very large call for any company of that scale. And why this is important, why this promise works with our users, though it's a very difficult promise to uphold over the time, is that what we also started noticing is that there's overwhelming content out there, right? And as users are becoming more choosy, picky, basically there's something called browsing fatigue, which has like started kicking in recent years. So they're looking for curated experience, and that's why even in audio visual ecosystem, you will see that Netflix does it really well, even Hotstar to some extent, because they build carousels to your taste, right? The most basically visually excellent documentaries. So these kind of carousels you will get on Netflix, because they know that you're looking for something like that, right? So those curations, those basically experiences which are basically stacked together. So that is our promise to our users, that basically you can click on any IP and you'll get similar kind of experience. So that is very very difficult to basically replicate if you have already reached some scale.
So yeah, I think it is going back to that same point. If it's a network effect business, if it is winner takes all, then probably the platform play and that approach totally makes sense. Uh, but if there are no network effects or no strong network effects, then it becomes a brand play. And the way
Correct.
brands become big is not by doing everything. If you're doing everything, then you don't stand for anything. and
Correct.
you probably are not able to kind of find a place in the mind of the users. So
Correct.
you have to say no to a lot of things. Like,
Correct.
a brand is not this and this and this. Brand is this and not anything else other than that, probably.
Correct.
So, and when you make those choices, more than library, kind of going away and all, it is also somewhere saying that I'm not a platform. I don't stand for everything. I stand for something specific. Because the YouTube approach to product, the product approach of YouTube to content is that I'll show you what you really like, but I'll have everything, good, bad, ugly. I'll have everything.
Correct.
But only platforms can pull it off. So the question, comes down to this, that it's a philosophy which is very different, probably. Uh, One company is saying that we want to enable everyone to become a small time production house. They can, we'll enable them with tools so that they can create their own stories and do all that storytelling. It's more inspired by YouTube, so to say. And what you are saying is that we value the user attention so much that we'll not feed anything to the user. We will sponsor content, or do our own productions or whatever kind of we do. But the content has to be top grade. It has to follow certain filters that we put in. So, and kind of it's I don't know what whether video is a right benchmark for that. And we see Netflix, because Netflix also has struggled with these questions. At some point, it used to be a part of FANG, and then people started saying that is Netflix a tech company? Is it not a content company? They were like, stuff around what are the questions that are true for Netflix. The questions are more of LA questions and not SF questions. They are more the questions are more in the tune of where is your money being spent, is because most of the money is spent on content and not on tech as such. So the questions are similar to what a Hollywood studio would be facing, as opposed to a Silicon Valley company. So if we see that from the lens of YouTube and Netflix, probably both, like as they say that opposite of a good idea can also be a good idea. But YouTube has more than proven that you can be a large company and large business by having a very platform approach to content. And Netflix has somewhere proven that you can take the other view and you can still be big.
Correct.
Now, and so that means that your approach is more inspired by Netflix, and their approach could be more
Correct.
inspired by YouTube. Having
Correct.
said that, what are the nuances between video and audio that make it different? That analogy may not truly translate into this, and maybe that it favors platform more than brand, or maybe it favors a brand play more than a platform. Having said that, there's tech in both of them. There's content in both of them.
Correct.
But YouTube is not creating content, so it's not truly a cuckoo, because they didn't create content. So they're somewhere playing in the middle. But I've confused you there. But can you just help me make sense
Yeah.
of it?
So your question is specifically on the content side, or basically what are the if we take a basically a studio approach, what are
Yeah.
the
So
sacrifices we have to make?
let me just two questions.
Hmm.
Platform versus brand. Your
Hmm.
approach is brand, and we've
Correct.
talked a bit about that. But if there's
Correct.
something to add on that, the second is we have seen both approaches succeed in video.
Correct. Correct.
Uh, is audio similar or different? Should
Correct.
should the same thing both work in audio here in India, or one is more likely to succeed than the other?
Got it. Got it. No, so like you rightly said, matlab, both approaches work and both have its own pros and cons. So for us, basically, the biggest sacrifice is, of course, the volume of inventory. So when you take a platform approach, 100% you will work with a lot more creators than we work with, and your idea would always be to build a tool using which any creator can become basically a mini studio with most minimum resources they can create content. So one, like I said, is the basically will always create less content compared to our competitors, because they are I won't say completely a platform like YouTube, but more towards YouTube, and we are more towards Netflix. We also work with lot many creators. We also, some places, it's basically the entire basically we if the playbook is followed, we don't involve ourselves with certain creators who are specifically basically, let's say, podcasters, or follow a loose script, which are not audio dramas specifically. But there will always be the the number of hours of content we'll produce in a month will differ from basically from somebody who's taking platform approach. The second sacrifice which you have to make is basically, since basically it's a controlled approach, it's a curated approach. So somewhere basically most of the content we create will come from basically the data which we are looking on the platform and the biases we have. right? Sometimes very simple content pieces with not much immersive experiences, not much immersive experience basically can be a breakthrough. And basically those creators, because we do not, basically it's a tight approach. Each of those creators have to basically go through our processes. They have to speak with us before basically their content gets published on us, on our platform. So we might miss out on those opportunities, but we made our peace that yeah, it's okay. So even if something like that breaks through on certain other platforms, basically we'll be slightly basically let's say late movers in that format or category, but we'll try to create a more refined, a newer version of that, basically when it comes to basically publishing same content on it. So these are the two major differences. Of course, per our content of cost also differs per unit basically content creation cost, but overall the cost which we incur, it will be much lesser than basically a platform, because there are less overheads. The number of content hours which you will be putting, which will be much lesser than a platform. Basically somebody who's taking a platform approach.
Got it. And vis-a-vis video, does audio lend itself better for content play versus a platform play? Or
In terms of that, or can you
whichever
break it down
dynamic.
further?
See, the point I'm trying to make is that we saw both of them win.
Correct.
The biggest question, see, if both win here also, then it's fine. Both approaches are fine. The big question is that why should, or let me say that maybe Netflix, let me make a just random statement, and then maybe a question will
Correct.
emerge from that. Netflix won by having proprietary content because the bar of content is very high when we are watching.
Correct.
And maybe the bar on content is not as high when we are not watching it, when we're just listening. In that sense, Netflix would exist in a video world, but a Netflix of audio may not exist in the audio world. Now, if that is the counter, do you see that no, that is not the case, or it could be the other way around, that YouTube of audio may not have a place under the sun?
Yeah. So a specific, like, that's why basically both are competitors. They are not specifically UGC. They call them UGC, which is slightly better than a UGC platform, because in audio specifically, because there's only one sense which is involved. The quality of your content has to be at least decently good. In video, because you are getting involved with multiple senses, sometimes it's okay if your basically audio is not that great, or your video is slightly blurred, but you still can engage. But specifically when it comes to audio, a pure platform approach, a UGC kind of approach, uh, it doesn't do like really well, because basically there has to be some effort in fine tuning the content. That's why both Kuku and Pocket FM, though they are towards YouTube, they are not completely YouTube. And basically we feel that a even better experience, because it's a very intimate experience to listen to an audio. It feels like you are part of the story, or you're speaking with the narrator itself, and you start imagining stuff, right? I think I covered this example before also. If you're watching Mahabharata, you know how Beam looks like. But when you're listening to Mahabharata, you will imagine what a Beam would look like from the characteristic, right? So it's a very special experience. So better the content quality, I think, basically that immersion will be even better. And of course, Malab, with the kind of headphone penetration and the quality which is available these days, the basically that 3D immersion, it feels even better than listening to than watching some content on TV with just a basic speaker. To answer your question, yes, there's some difference. The quality has to be slightly better than what you will find on basically a very UGC kind of content on YouTube. Uh, but at the same time, if you do like really great content, it will sound even better than a PGC platform like basically a Netflix.
Got it. Got it. Then a related question is that I like if I look at your background, your profile, you look like the person who can build a platform, for content, audio, video, whatever. It doesn't really look like that you are the person who would be building the content play here. Like we are, when we are saying you also belong to that cohort of people, right? But your choices have been different, which is fine. But are you the best person to build this? Are you the right person to build this? Are you not better placed to build the product play yourself?
Correct. So that's how basically how I like to think about it is, I am, let's say, one of the biggest consumer in the company. So when we started, basically, like I said, I've been a big consumer of audio products since my college days, and I felt this need, basically the kind of content which I've been consuming from, basically certain studios in the West. Why those kind of studios are not in India? So my job, basically in the company is to keep everyone on the same page that we have to build a, basically a world class global platform for spoken word audio, and which has to sound like really, really immersive. There are people in our team who are better than me at creating content. My role is just to give feedback, basically how it sounds, basically, and to empathize with our end users, because I am the closest to them, because I've been a big consumer of this category myself. So we are, like I said, it's not, basically Netflix itself is also is a platform, right? We are a platform, but I would say a very curated, platform with a very curated approach. So we do work with, so far we have worked, basically with close to 800 writers, many studios, many voiceover artists. So until unless you are truly a platform, basically this even this scale is not possible, right? So there are certain things which we learn from our competitors, certain things which we have learned from other ecosystem, from audiovisual, or text as well. And trying to the idea is to basically serve our users with basically a very premium experience towards the end. That's why we felt a open platform approach won't work. But otherwise, yeah, we are basically, though we are a studio, we are basically a closed book platform in a way. Our motto is to build experience first over everything else. Rest everything will follow.
I
So
understand. So, so
started the platform with certain things which couldn't scale, basically at very, very basically a minor level. With our first month we only published like 2 hours of content. Right now we are doing more than 100 hours of content per month. So that would require a certain platform kind of approach as well.
so in a way, what you're saying is the product approach or the platform approach is that you are actually creating creative,
Yeah.
and here you are creating content yourself. So that is one differentiation. So when you create content, your revs are on getting better at that. And that's why, kind of from 2 hours to 100 hours is productivity of that, but efficiency of content creation, whatever. But also the quality and all those things, you will do more cycles on quality, and that's how your content will keep getting better. And they will do more, kind of cycles on how do we get more people, give them better tools, make a TikTok for audio almost, where people can create a lot of content and let something, fly out. And then our job is to kind of surfacing the right kind of content for the right kind of that recommendation. So those skill sets are very different. That I totally appreciate. Also, I see that you are saying that I am the filter, which is a very interesting approach. That I'm a foodie and not a chef, and I can still ensure that the restaurant, which is true because like even if you see Hollywood and Bollywood, the producers are not the directors, and they say that okay, I want to put money behind this
Correct.
kind of story. Uh,
Correct.
so you work with professionals. You don't work with kind of, individuals or people who just have an interest. Unless they come with a certain capability set, you will not work with them. Is that a fair
Yes.
way?
So we do have programs where we train young writers also with a senior mentor. We do have like consultants, writers who have worked with us, basically very basically on certain projects. And because the idea is to build this ecosystem at the same time as well. There are certain studios who are not doing the kind of quality production which we expect, and we had to basically my head of sound basically sat with them for many weeks, basically making them understand our playbook. And over the time, basically basically we have built that ecosystem. So it's not like we do not work with basically very young or fresher kind of basically creators in the ecosystem or voiceover actors. But of course there is a hygiene check, because there are certain things which you can't teach. First of all is the tone of the content. Like I said, we are targeting young semi-urban urban audiences. So the kind of content they consume, it has to sound like very real, relatable, the kind of conversations we have in day-to-day lives. So if a writer is not able to pull it off even in an immature way, it's very, very difficult to basically build that basically experience, basically, or train that writer. So not sounding artificial is also one of our top objective for any of our IP. So but anyone who's not very experienced, we do work with a lot of them, and we train them over the time. And then once basically they are under a mentor for 3 to 4 months, they have written 30, 40 episodes. Suppose that they are able to take it off.
Got it. So somewhere you mentioned that not sounding artificial. Probably you are also, in a way, you're expressing your brand attributes. So one
Correct.
is not sounding artificial. The other could be, if I remember correctly, it should be relatable, realistic content. And the
Correct, even if it's a
quality,
fiction IP.
and then the quality of storytelling has to be uh, at a certain level. Is there anything else that you think what defines it? When I say it, what does it evoke in my mind other than these three things that you used?
Yeah, so idea is to be a lifestyle app where users are proud of, basically they take pride in spending time, and they don't feel guilty after spending some time on it, like they have wasted their time, right? So that value right now, most of the focus is on the entertainment side of the content, but of course we'll enter into infotainment information also. So a time well spent, basically, which would naturally come out of that user that, okay, I spent 1 hour listening to this IP and I was engrossed in it. I really spent my time with it, right? At the same time, of course, like I said, and the, basically the script sounding real relatable, I feel it's in hygiene of highest order, which you have to follow, because this young urban audience, they can't stand any content which sounds artificial or years to year, right? uh,
You call
it's
it
and
out
it's
to
not.
cringe and move out.
Yeah.
I'm saying they call it out cringe and move away from it.
Yeah,
You
move
know,
away. Move away. So they are very picky in, basically in terms of the kind of content they consume. If they like it, they will share basically that with their friends also. So it's like super utmost important for us that it sounds real and relatable. And the last point, basically, it has to sound like really nice. The overall experience, you can't have noises unless you mean, basically you intend to have noises in certain scenes, right? So everything has to be studio grade, uh, probably recorded in a studio kind of setup. Even if somebody is recording from their home, so we have a quality check, making sure that the equipments are really great. There's no basically a noise or echo in the space where they are recording. And all those silences, all those basically building those scenes, soundscaping, sound design, so all this constitutes. And over the time, we have basically we have formulated a playbook of what should happen when, to create that kind of experience. So yeah.
you got it. So this largely, I understand the bucket, but there's one interesting word you used, which was pride. Uh, time not well, time well spent because the experience was, elevated. I understand that. What do you mean by pride? Is it like, uh, you are saying that you will not have some of the content that these platforms had and which got them success, but is not something you would be proud to consume, or something else?
Yeah, so of course, Madhab, there'll be certain platforms who will associate with certain, basically started with or are very popularly basically gets associated with certain attributes or certain content formats, right? So the idea is to basically like I said earlier, uh, if you are not basically boasting about the kind of products you're using with your with the folks around you, uh, I think basically you're not doing will not be doing a good job. So the idea is to build an app or a platform uh, yeah, where basically users basically have positive feel about it. It also leads to certain social currency, which basically, by social currency I mean is certain stuff they can talk about in their basically in
So
their
that's
group.
what I understood. The
Hmm.
quality, if it is higher quality, it will get talked about more, and it
Hmm.
is true to experience. It is true to kind of social aspect of it. But
Correct. So
is
so
there,
so
yeah.
so pride. When I say pride, so it's a matter of basically how would I say, it's a matter of uh, also that if you recommend a product to your friends, how they feel about it, right? So if you are, maybe you are an power user of certain product, but that most of the folks around me might not like it because of certain attributes, you will not recommend it, right? So when I say pride is, okay, they should be confident enough, okay, when I recommend A to any of my friend, they will also 100% like it, right? Because it comes from basically it has certain attributes which which are premium in nature. Basically the platform is trustworthy in the kind of content they produce. So all those kind of stuff. So a simplest example to explain this would be a urban user might be slightly though well, I would should not comment about it, and though no offense in that way, but an urban user might be slightly conscious about saying that I bought a certain product from Misho, but they might not be basically very conscious when they say that I bought it from Mindra in the easiest way possible. Or
But
so
that,
that
that
so
that part is very clear. The
mm,
price points are very different, and we don't want to kind of sound that uh, we are buying something which is cheaper because it
correct.
somewhere conveys that we have not made it in life. Probably
Mm.
that is the association that you're talking about.
And the other association is malab, in this is like basically basically let's say if somebody is doing NSFW kind of content
Hmm.
more and basically you basically tell this to your other friend, they might create a picture about you, right? This is
Correct.
the kind of content you consume. Whereas basically let's say basically you recommend Dracula, or some basically a superhero, or a true crime story to your friend, and they find that reflection of your choices on in the basically platform you recommended. So it will be basically it's a matter of pride. So
So one is the quality, the other is the genre. Like what we are coming to is probably genre. So and that's a fair point that if you are recommending something and there's a lot of NFSW, NSFW. So there's a lot of
NSFW, yeah.
NSFW content
Mm,
there. Then people will also kind of form an image of you and that you may not want. So
correct.
that's one example. But does that mean that you will not do that content? Because a lot of these platforms have become big by doing exactly that. That is their hack to growth or growth hack, whatever.
Correct. So what we feel is that you should not create certain content keeping in mind that you have to create NSFW content, basically, and it will be the center of, basically the main plot of, basically the entire show. And the idea is to build, basically a large audience around it, because what we feel is that it serves a very, very utilitarian purposes. And, in the early days, users might get intrigued with it, but over the time, they will basically you can't keep consuming such kind of content forever, so they will get over it, right? It will not intrigue them as much as it did in the earlier days. So the idea is to create like really great stories, and if those stories demand basically certain scenes where there has to be some abusive words, let's say, because we did a lot of true crime stories, so there were, of course, a criminal would be basically using certain set of certain kind of abuses, or certain kind of, there might be certain kind of scenes in those kind of movies which are required basically to be included as the story progresses. So that's it. So but when I say this, these are not the center plot. Center plot is something different, right? Probably what that criminal has done, or what has happened to that basically a victim. And the idea was to just make users imagine what has happened in that story. So we 100% believe that basically uh, story should be told in the most authentic way, even if it includes certain NSW elements. But NSW can't be our basically center of anything we create. So
Right.
so
The
so so
platform
that's where
cannot
I
be
think we
about
differentiate.
NSFW.
Correct.
So the platform cannot be about NSFW.
And just
NSFW.
not just NSFW, right? So basically you can also basically we can probably also discuss about basically there's another platform like which primarily focuses on, let's say, self-help, personal development, motivational, all those kind of stuff. So you can't keep, so these are utilitarian aspects, and everyone has basically needs for these kind of content once in their basically once or twice or many times in their life. But you can't consume those kind of content forever, right? So eventually it has to basically you have to offer wide variety of choices, and you can't, on a specific genre, you can't build in certain image. So that's where we feel okay, basically the basically genre agnostic and building on depth is important.
Got it.
Users are also genre agnostic. They might have genre preference, but every now and then they look to come out of the shell and consume content across themes.
Got it. But like you talked about genre agnostic, but your content also has a lot of paranormal and dark and kind of those kind of horror, those kind of stories and podcasts. So is that a conscious choice, one? And is that your bootstrap and eventually you move to others, or how do you see that story playing out?
Yeah. So So one, basically, it's more of an urban trend, and we wanted to tap into this urban TG earlier, right? So they consume a lot of dark content, basically horror, crime, thriller, suspense, supernatural. Uh, but that doesn't mean that basically we are focused on these kind of content itself. We had to start from somewhere because basically you have to build certain category first and then move on to next. So we started with horror, then we started with crime. So slowly this audience, basically who was primarily just consuming horror, then they started consuming crime. Then we moved to basically thriller and suspense, and now we have started moving to more supernatural, right? So, and if you look from global perspective also, Netflix is also focused on these kind of themes for their global audience, and it has worked really well for them because this is what urban audience primarily is consuming. Apart from this, comedy is also very very high in basically demand from our user base, but it's just that it is difficult to crack, so we club it with some other category, probably like crime comedy and all those, and these categories are picking up really really well. So uh, so we are not just an horror first platform as we speak. We might have the largest inventory for it right now, but all the other categories are picking up really well because now our focus is more on building those other categories and providing our users with enough options. Now, second reason why, basically, which we did not plan to get started because of this reason, but why this category worked really well is, one is audiovisual is very very underserved, basically on dark genre. People want more, but it's difficult to create, and it takes time also, right? uh, Second is the kind of immersive experience you can create in horror, or basically thrillers or suspense as a category in audio. It's very very different in audiovisual. So you'll be on edge of your seat when you create a really horror dramatic scene, or basically crime thrilling scene with
Because you can
basically visits.
imagine something
Yeah.
scarier than you can actually enact.
Yeah. So in audio basically it works really really well. This we discovered later.
Got it. And somebody mentioned that you build this category, then you build another category. So you're building it category by category by category, and not like, okay, this is this, like, I want a bit of everything. Why this approach of going category wise versus
So
being
as we
agnostic?
become large, basically, of course, there will be equal focus across all categories, and except for one or two categories where basically the demand is really really high, like one of those being comedy, right? uh, but in the beginning, with the basically smallest basically inventory we had, it was difficult to, how do we basically because before platform, once you get large, you basically promote your platform that for a really nice audio experience, come to it. But in the beginning stage of your basically foundation or company, or when you are basically calling users on social media or wherever, uh, it's through an show or IP or category. So that's where we felt basically that we have to be really good at one category first. It was not like we were not doing other categories, but I would say 60 to 65% of commissioning used to happen across dark as a category. But over the time it has evolved. Now we are doing a lot more. We are doing a lot of dramas. We have done a lot of non-fiction content also when Khalistan was trending. And this is also one of the difference in audiovisual and audio format, is that we can move really fast, right? So when Khalistan was trending in India, and there were a lot of people writing about it, okay, why it is happening, what all those stuff, but nobody knew history, right? Especially the young audience. So we thought, okay, let's create a docudrama itself around Khalistan, its beginning, what happened, when it happened, from a very very neutral lens. We didn't pick sides, but we just wanted to tell a story, okay, what has happened and why it is basically a mainstream thing right now. Similarly, so anything, we have done a series on geopolitics called Sarhad, where we talk about India, its relationship with neighboring countries. So all those stuff can be like a great experience can be created really really fast in audio when it is trending on social media. But in audiovisual, to build it, it will easily take 1.5 years, right?
So,
So
so from a video comparison, obviously, but if you talk about TikTok and podcast,
yeah,
and even like like that news at 8 kind of conversations, they pick it up on that day itself. What happened in Bangladesh
correct.
yesterday was being discussed on prime
Hmm,
time TV yesterday,
correct,
last night,
correct,
right? So
correct.
you still kind of that. Do you see that that is a big, a big
so so
factor in trying to be in the trending game?
so yeah, so you can find the story, but you won't be able to build immersion around it. So you can basically, for like I said, for utilitarian purpose, because somebody wants to know about it, they will be able to basically consume that info just searching on Wikipedia as well. But when you want to when you want users to empathize with what has happened with either sides, right, and basically make them feel connected, so that's where we feel that a docudrama, or basically a more immersive piece. So I think we did a 2 by 2 also, right? So story versus production. So you can build a genre, basically really well, build an audience which consumes that kind of info really well with just story out. But with story and really great production, that storytelling art and soundscaping, you can create like really great experience. So that's what I meant.
Got it. Got it.
So Netflix also, if you'll see, they started doing all these true crime story, right? Uh, so all
Then,
specifically Indian stories also. I won't call specific names, but so it has come out like after so many years the incident happened. But when you watch it, you know about the stuff. But when you watch it, basically you understand the basically nuances, like how and basically what happened in
got it. Got it. Uh, on AI, generative AI, do you think it's your friend, or it's a closer friend to others, and they will get better tools to compete with you? Let's say I'm a indie audio creator. If I get a lot of AI tools with me, then I can start doing it on YouTube itself or elsewhere, and people will also be able to get better, slightly more immersive experience. While it will help you also, will it help others more?
I think Gen AI has a lot of use cases. So you can, basically create voices. You can, basically use it to, basically create new concepts, character sketches, Bibles, concept notes, episodic log lines. A lot of stuff. You can even on the existing, basically LLM models, you can build your own, basically models on top of it, where you can train them with your existing data and, basically create the kind of content you have been creating in much faster space. Uh, so for us though, we definitely feel like basically it's a, I would say, a bestie more than a friend, because it increase what was, like I said, the difference between us and basically our competition would always be the number of hours of content you create, right? So the kind of content we create, it takes some time. For us, basically Gen AI is reducing that turnaround time to create those first 10 episodes out. Because basically it works as an assistant to a writer, it works as an assistant to an basically our graphic designer, where we have to create teasers, the visual assets, and at the same time on the voice side, so what we have seen is uh, it can create really great audiobooks. Well, you can convert any book into an audiobook really fast, but the kind of expressiveness modulations which is required to create an audio drama like what we do, it's yet not there. I'm sure it will reach there. We are also building our own speech to speech models, where probably basically one single guy who is a great actor,
Voice
basically
acting.
can, yeah, voice actor can basically just do the entire drama, all the voices, and then we just change the basically voice character through Gen AI, right? So all the expressions and modulations are covered, and we just keep changing the voices.
But that
So,
kind
so
of plays into the strength of an indie voice actor like me. I mean, someone who can do that, isn't it? They are coming from nowhere to everywhere, and you are also benefiting. But does that not
so so
increase
so
the
so so, so, so
competition?
our depth comes from so basically what we do, it's basically it's more than this, right? So once this is done, this is all the mechanical stuff which is done. So our focus is basically the way we operate the playbook which we optimize, that the feedback loops, the learnings which you have built over the time to build scripts, right? So though Gen AI can create those sketches, everything, but learnings basically it can't take it from us, right? And second is the all the production layers, right? uh, if the scene has to be shot in 1800s, there's a different kind of soundscaping. So and with every character coming into the scene, there is a basically sound design for their character sound design, right? And then there's certain SFXs throughout the episodes, and which are unique to every IP. So same IP assets will not be used in another IP because the time period might be different. It might be a rural basically ecosystem in one IP, and another one might be an urban ecosystem. So there are a lot of stuff which basically can't be carried out with Gen AI will not give you a finished product. It is think of it as a co-pilot, or basically an assistant to our team to increase the efficiency. And 100%, like, I feel that all these tools will be open source very very soon, so everyone will be able to use it. But then the person behind, or the company, or the group behind these tools, how they create content, is the basically the actual meaty part, and will define basically what is the final output out of it.
You were mentioning about the nuances there, the sound design, soundscaping. For each character, there's a different way of things. Is is the audience really like? Would I be able to differentiate? Like, there's so much work that is going behind the scenes, and I appreciate that. Probably it is not happening when someone else is producing that audio story or something. But as a user, am I able to kind of like it's like wine? If I don't have a taste for it, I will not be able to differentiate, and they are all same for me at some level, or maybe broadly I can differentiate. So, are you
Correct.
getting the bang for the buck when you're putting in that effort and that you are understanding that nuance better?
Correct. No, 100%. So we'll look on our Play Store reviews. We have conducted superhuman survey twice on our basically base. Last year, uh, somewhere around July when we conducted it, we were at 44% NPS. This year we were somewhere around 77% NPS, and we boast of highest completion rates compared to our competitors. So any episode clicks, what are the how many of those basically finish that episode, right? So users clearly call out the sound quality, the script quality, and basically that it sounds nice. And I'm not saying that everyone will notice. There's a small set of users. Basically when they get introduced to 8 content, they might not notice the difference initially when they start consuming content, but after spending some time on 8, if they go back to any other platform, they'll 100% notice, because then now they are used to it. So similar example I take for basically products on Apple products as well. So when I started using MacBook, I didn't notice a difference. For me it was like, as basically a similar experience like Lenovo ThinkPad. But now after spending some time on MacBook, when I go back to ThinkPad, I notice that difference. Basically that seamless experience. The feel and touch of the product also, right? So that's where the differentiation is. And because all of this is happening, basically there's a very sticky behavior which we are seeing from our users. So our users spend in excess of 21 hours a month. And the paid users, they're spending close to 21 hours plus per month in playtime, not browsing. It's pure playing any content. Daily time spent is close to 100 minutes plus. So these are basically the indicators that basically we feel that basically what the kind of content which we have created and the sound experience which we have created, it is resonating really well with the users.
Very interesting. So, tell me more about it. Like, 21 hours sound very impressive, but how does it relate to other platforms, be it audio, be it video?
Yeah. So overall, any OTT platform, basically their daily playtime for their paid subscribers would be somewhere around 1 hour. And from what we know, a couple of regional players in audiovisual OTT, so their monthly playtime for average monthly playtime for their user base is somewhere around 4.5 to 6 hours. So beauty with audio is like, basically we discussed earlier also that you can plug in your AirPods anytime, and those 15 minutes, 20 minutes in a day where you are moving around, you can basically consume content. So our content consumption graph, it doesn't well, it will not have basically extreme downs and ups. Basically there will be some content consumption happening throughout the day and night. But in audiovisual, basically what happens is that there will be extreme ups and downs. There will be certain hours where there's no consumption happening at all, right? Because you have to basically you have to facilitate that time where you can put multiple senses and focus on
Right.
a screen.
So, I
So that's
understood
where the
the
difference is.
audio versus video, audio consumption is more because the day provides you with more such opportunities. Uh, but video versus video, when you were talking about that you are at 21 hours, and let's say someone in audio is at 5 6 hours, so that is audio versus video. But audio versus audio, when you mentioned that you won't go back to a ThinkPad now, are you seeing those patterns? One, there is higher time spent on your platform versus other audio platforms? And second, are you seeing one-way traffic that people are coming from there to here, but people are not going back? Is there some early sign, early data, leading indicator for that?
So 100% we have seen our users calling out our competitors, and basically in between that we did a competitor survey on our base also, like have you used the other products in our industry, and each of these platforms were called out, and we have seen a lot of this audience moving. Basically a good amount of our base has come from basically from existing spoken word basically consumers, and they were using our competitors before us. um, now from our platform, how much movement is there on their platform, that I can't comment right now. But I don't think basically it will be a significant mass, because or maybe primarily for free content, because now we are moving more towards a premium platform approach. There's no freemium experience which is available, so for that reasons there might be some movement, but anyone who is paying subscriber, I don't think there's much movement from our platform to other platforms.
Got it. Very interesting. Just one more question. Uh, Somewhere you talked about cost of production, but probably it didn't come out. So can you talk about the cost of production for you versus other platforms, and how does that put you into advantage or disadvantage, and how will that kind of move in the next 4 5 years with Gen AI becoming more available?
Okay. So to be honest, because it's an audio format, the cost of content production is peanuts compared to an audiovisual. Basically, we incur somewhere around 20,000 rupees for an hour of content produced, which is like super immersive. So there are two kinds of content formats which you'll find on our platform. One is more basically UGC, which follows a loose script, or in a way unscripted podcast, single person storytelling, talking about their experiences, done in a studio kind of format. So there our cost is even lower, 8 to 15,000 rupees an hour. And anywhere where there's an basically which is an audio drama where there are multiple stakeholders, script writers, voiceover actors, studio partners, so there our cost of content would be anywhere between 20 to 40,000 rupees, but blended cost comes out to 20,000 rupees an hour. For our competitors, basically there are different models they follow. They do rev share with writers, and then basically production they look after. Sometimes they will depend upon creator itself to write the content and create the final product. It's more PUGC content, which is professionally user generated content, might not follow a strict guidelines like us, where it will give you a studio grade experience, but their cost of content should anywhere between 6 to 8 thousand rupees. um, yeah, so that is the difference, but overall our content basically cost in a month is much lesser, because in the other platforms there's a lot of hits and misses, and anyone can create content, you have to pay them. But with our basically platform approach, uh, we build curated experiences. So our promise to our users is, like I said, whatever basically new content also you will find, it will give you a very amazing experience. But overall number of hours which we create in a month is not very high. So right now it is around 100 hours of content. We'll scale this to basically at peak 400 hours of content or on those lines, but not more than that.
So better metric could be that uh, amount spent on content per hour divided by the hours it has been streamed. Probably because what you're saying is that we don't need too
Correct.
much content while our cost per
Correct.
hour is higher. So
Correct.
anything you can talk about on that? How are you faring on that metric or whatever that unit metric?
Correct. So one is like completion rate, like I initially mentioned, right? So any episode ever clicked, 70% is a completion rate. So
Vis-a-vis what is the
uh,
industry standard?
so it is around 51 to 54%.
Okay.
So that's where we basically weigh very heavily. So where basically where we feel that basically there is basically a drop off happening, we sometimes programmatically change basically the arcs in those episodes also. It is possible in audio, it's not possible in audiovisual. But in PUGC kind of content where you rely on a writer, it is difficult to do it, because the basically the your agreement with that writer is like, basically just keep publishing episode, and a lot of times it will go unnoticed also. But here, because we curate the content, we control the quality, and basically look after the data, so it is very much possible. um, Apart from that, yes, so basically the kind of calls which we take is, basically it happens at the end of the season, or the end of the first 10 episodes, whether we want to go ahead, because most of the content which we publish is really great in quality, but at the same time we also have to basically check with our, basically whether users are interested in that kind of content. So our basically process, how it looks like, is that first we publish one season or 10 episodes. Different kind of shows will follow different kind of approach. Some will follow daily one episode upload frequency, some will follow a weekly 2 or 3 episode upload frequency, and some will follow seasonal approach, like 10 episodes at a time. So basis, basically every 10 episode, every season, we see basically what is the conversion rate, how many users basically finished at the entire arc, and then we take a call whether we want to go ahead with it or not.